this vid will be conditioning part 14, and this is something that I was told, I wasn't taught, but it was explained to me just like we always do when we're around each other. Dog man, we talk and we share information, we share experiences. And I wasn't familiar with this technique, but it's something to bring up, something to think about, and maybe someone like Laramie Smith can expound on it more because he has more experience with it. But it's a what I would call an older technique. I don't think it's used too much anymore. Maybe it is. I'm not familiar with all the guys out there anymore, but it's something that was it was as common as the method, and the method I'm talking about is having a dog below weight and bringing them up to peak. The other method is having them above weight and bringing them down to peak. That's how I did it. That's what I'm familiar with. But these two dogmen, very famous dogmen and very competitive and very successful dogmen, did it. And in speaking with them in the past, each gave me his method of doing it. And so let's see what you think about it. The first situation, we have a dogman that uses he used a hand walking, a mill. I'm not sure if it was carpet mill or slap mill, and a flying jenny, or that's what they called it back then, the cat mill, flying jenny. That name comes from, you have those things where you walk a horse around or you walk a mule around, or for a lot of times they do it to cool a dog off. But that's where the idea of the flying jenny came from. Jenny is a mule, basically, a female mule. But anyways, that's the first. This will be the first method that I'm going to talk about. His was a 12-week keep. He had 4 weeks of pre-keep and then 8 weeks of the full keep. And what he did basically in that 4-week pre-keep, I'm not sure how he fed, but I would think that he's not having them on the full keep feed. I didn't ask. A lot of times when I'm around these older guys, in the past when I just kept my mouth shut and listened. But I took the information in. Because a lot of times you start asking too many questions, they'll stop. Depending on how you ask the questions and why and what, all that. So it's best to just keep your mouth shut, listen. Ask something pertinent to the conversation if you want, but I learned don't get too much into it because then they'll stop talking about it. Anyways, first 4 weeks is a pre-keep, a lot of hand walking, and the dogs will come down to weight, below weight, say 2 pounds. Then when the keep starts, that's when he added extra food and built them up to weight, increased their feed and built them up to weight. And those dogs generally, they looked very thin, but they had muscle all over their body. And more often than not, they were the bigger dog, if you know what I mean. Second scenario is, and the way this gentleman explained it to me was his father did this with his hound dogs. His father had hunting hound dogs. And you take them out and you start running them, right? Again, they kept them on the same feed. And you run them, they run them, what you would say, maybe into the ground. And while you're doing that, they lose a lot of weight and they come down below weight. And that's kind of what he did with his dogs. And his keep was only a 6-week keep. And I'm not sure if he had a pre-keep. I'm sure he did. But he didn't give them any extra food during that pre-keep. And they come down in weight, and he worked them hard from the beginning because he had kind of the attitude that I learned to have. If you can't put them through a hard keep, or they won't do a hard keep, or they're not they're not able to take that hard work from the beginning, then you have less faith in them in their gameness. Because if they'll quit during a workout, they'll quit when you show them. That's an old mentality. I kind of felt that same way, you know. They're bulldogs, and they should be able to work hard, and they should be able to be eager for work, and they shouldn't their concern for their own self-preservation or being tired or anything like that shouldn't be a factor. People can disagree or agree. That's up to you. But what he did is he worked them hard, and he used almost 100% cat meal keep, right? And his idea was that they can take that hard work. They're coming down to weight. They're coming down below weight for that, basically the 2 weeks of the 6-week keep. Then on the 4th week, you pour the food to them. And it has a reaction of, when you do that, now they're becoming stronger because they have that extra feed, extra calories, extra nutrients. And again, they're coming up to weight. So it's almost like a shock to their body that you know, they're working hard and they have that intensity and they have that mentality to work hard, and then you shock them with more food, and they just soak it up, and they become very strong. And you keep applying the hard work to them, you increase it, and it's only for a 6-week total period. But this guy, one of them was the first. In the first example I gave, he was, you know, 30s, 40s, you know, getting towards middle age. And like I said, he was very competitive. Second example is he was competitive for many years, and he was an older man even when he did this. And the people that knew him, when a lot of times when you go to a show, you know, you look at the dogs, or you know the person, or you know the breeding, or this or that, and you know, you place your bets accordingly. With this guy, because of who he was and how much he knew, and because of experience and traveling all over and fighting the best and beating the best, all that, people bet on him. It didn't matter what dog he had, didn't matter what bloodline he had, whether it was own breeding or it came from someone else. They bet on the man. And he very rarely lost, even at an advanced age. And the bets would be flying back. People, they didn't care. They'd start before he stepped over the wall, and they would keep it up no matter how it was going. When I was there, the person I was sitting to, his attitude was, don't matter what they bring, don't matter what they got. This guy, his conditioning is going to win out. And once the conditioning kicks in, it's over for the other dog. So these are a couple of the methods of bringing them down to weight, below weight, and then bringing them up. It's a fine line. You can't mess it up. And the people that knew how to do it very rarely messed it up. And the dogs were ready to finish quick or go long distance. And with the first example I gave, his dogs usually went long distance. And they usually got stronger as they went, and they usually, if they had any mouth, it usually came out later when the opponent's more tired. Not I don't mean it in the sense that they didn't have mouth, and because their opponent's prone or because they're wore out, that the mouth showed. What I mean is they were patient, and they waited for the right time and opportunity to really crunch down and do some damage, and they had some big ass teeth, and some of them could really use it. The second example, from the get-go, them dogs were on, and he could finish quick, he could finish late, 2-3 hours, don't matter. And whatever they had in the beginning, they had it at the end too. So there's just, it's a short vid because like I said, I'm not experiencing that, but it's something to bring up about conditioning. And if someone else want to add to it, Laramie, if I'm, if I'm incorrect, or you need to add something, or something like that, feel free to do so, brother. It's just something I wanted to bring up, and just get people thinking about, see what they think about it. Thanks.